Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem. Welcome to our first Ramadan episode webinar that we're putting together by the American Halal Council. I'm joined here by Sister Susan Labadi. She is our board member at the American Halal Council. We thank those who are watching us live, and some of those probably would be joining us via recorded sessions later on if they can't make it. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know some people are watching us from different time zones. I hope it's convenient time for everybody before iftar. Welcome, Susan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, excellent. I can.
All right. I was hoping to introduce you if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to give proper credit to you, Brother Marwan. Mr. Ahmad is the founder of the American Halal Council. He is also the organizer of the Halal Expo and Summit since 2018. We speak of the 1900s still, don't we? He is the president of Arabesque Media, a Virginia-based marketing and event planning company. Mr. Ahmed has a degree in computer information systems and education in digital marketing and nonprofit management. He's been in the marketing and nonprofit management field since 1994. He served on a media training mission to Italy with the State Department, touring 4 cities to speak, educate, and train local ethnic media. Mr. Ahmed received a number of awards from various community and government agencies, including CARE, ADC, and Governor's Community Service Award. So take it away, please.
Thank you, Susan. That was a kind introduction. I wasn't expecting this, but you're always organized and timely. So we're live today on Facebook and YouTube, and hopefully that will reach enough people and participation. I will be giving a presentation. Susan will be helping me as well, and we will be taking questions after the presentation, and feel free to write them in the comment section. So we will have the comment visible on Facebook and YouTube as well. So to start, I would like to also welcome Susan, who was our most recent board member with an extensive background in education as well as Halal. She managed the Halal Association in Chicago, and she's involved in her community and involved in many educational programs, Islamic schools, and conferences. So we're glad to have you with us, Susan, and be part of our organization.
Thank you. That's a mutual surprise.
Well, let me start by giving a quick background about the American Halal Council. We were founded at the end of 2019 as a nonprofit charitable organization registered as a 501c3. So your donations are tax deductible. And I posted the link, and I will put it in the comments again for those who would like to support our different halal programs, because we need your support. Without this kind of support, we cannot continue our work for the community and for the halal cause. So I'm going to post it here. It should show on both the Facebook and the YouTube channels. So since we started in the 2019, we had a lot of plans for 2020. Unfortunately, the pandemic started, and we had to tweak a little bit our agenda for 2020, and we hit the ground running, basically trying to help people in our communities in different cities, basically by providing halal meals to elderly to start, and then we expanded our work to partner with other charitable organizations to provide halal meals for those who are in need. Then we also held few Ramadan webinars like this one last year, and we continued our work by partnering with the US Halal Expo and Summit that was held in October 2020. Our board has expanded since then, so did our programs, and we have an ambitious programs and committees for 2021, which we will be also giving a little bit more information on as we go today in our webinar. Did I forget anything, Susan? Okay. So what do we do as an organization? We have different programs. First one is education. We educate the community on halal. There seem to be a lot of misconceptions or misunderstanding what a halal product should be like and what this halal label should look like, who provides halal, what makes something halal. We know there are different schools of thoughts, but we also want to make sure that people know if something says halal, what type of halal? Is it hand slaughter halal? Is it machine slaughter halal? Is it stunned halal? We don't get involved from the Sharia perspective, what is halal. We leave that to the scholars, but we want people to know when they buy a product, what kind of slaughter, halal slaughter it went under. And if it's not at all, we also want to create that transparency in the market. So that's the educational part. The advocacy part, we work with government agencies to advocate and promote halal and create also some understanding. We held a number of meetings with the USDA. We're also working with the FDA on different halal issues and products. And this is basically to educate and clarify the halal process to the government. And we also understand that there are halal laws and policies in 11 different states. Those states are, done great work to support halal industry, but we want all the 50 states to have some kind of halal policy and regulations to basically make sure that halal is transparent and you as a consumer can get what you're looking for when it comes to halal. The other program we have is halal verification. This is something is in the pipelines, and we are working through the process of creating a way that a consumer can verify if a product that says it's halal, it's truly halal. And the last one, but not least, is halal research. We are also working on conducting halal research, market research, so you can understand the size, or we can understand the size of the halal market in the US. And this will be both beneficial to you as a consumer, but also beneficial to government and businesses who are in the halal industry or want to enter the halal market. This research is in partnership with the ISPU, and we are raising funds currently to cover the cost of that research, which is between $85,000 to $100,000. So that was the introduction. Now we can get to the subject of halal products. We know, Susan, that people go to the market. We all go shopping, correct?
Absolutely. And how many times are we really looking for halal products, though?
Right.
Or we think that kosher is the same as halal, and it's not.
It's not. It's not. There is some similarities, but it's not quite the same. Mm-hmm. When you go to the market, how do you identify your halal products, whether it's a mainstream market or a halal market, actually, store?
Well, it used to be that I'd be looking for some sort of certification that's on the products, but now I'm finding that some of the larger grocers are just stamping halal on the product, but I have no idea who is saying that this is halal. And in a way, everything can be halal, just about everything is permissible unless it's haram, right? But even amongst Muslims, you have people who are looking for zabiha halal versus just halal. And many people don't even really know. There's a lot of confusion. The US Trade Representative told us that there are 40 definitions for halal. That makes it incredibly difficult. So of course there's confusion. And add on top of that, there has been a lot of Islamophobia in the past, which, alhamdulillah, it's starting to finally go away. This is really the time for us to get educated and to start asking specifically for halal products.
Very good point. Halal stamp is just being used randomly and very little restrictions and very little supervision. So to clarify, there are two sources of halal products. There are those that come from international countries, different countries, who get certified in their countries, and they get imported into the U.S. And the other part is the domestic halal products made in the U.S. And when we talk about products, we're not just talking about slaughtered meat, because that's what people think first when they think of halal. They think of meat, how it's slaughtered. Yes, this is how it starts, but that's not the end of it. This meat can become canned. This meat, even if it's slaughtered halal and done all the gone through all the proper process of certification, can become contaminated in the way to the market, whether in the refrigeration or in the cutting process in the kitchens, or mixed with other products or touching other products that could not be halal, which nulls the halal certification of that particular product. So to address your point of what is truly halal versus not halal, there are two types of labels. That's what we understand from the USDA. There is what they call a halal certified label. That means they have to show the brand, the logo halal, but also next to it, it should show and say who certified it, the name of the agency that certified that particular product. That includes their phone and phone number and address. This way, name, phone number, and address. This way, you can do your due diligence if you want to really dig a little bit deeper about halal labels. The problem is with the second one, which is halal generic halal label. That means they can put the stamp of halal without really stating who certified that product, and that opens all possibilities. Anybody can print that label, anybody can stamp it, and then the consumer doesn't know. The consumer relies on what? Or relies on the trust of the store they're buying from, especially if it's a halal store. If you walk in and speaking to Muhammad, you're buying meat or canned product from his store, you automatically will assume this is properly labeled. And Muhammad may not be the person who labeled it. He probably bought it this way. And that's the issue here. And this is something we are currently discussing with the USDA to bring more transparency and provide more information about those halal labels, because through our research found out that this doesn't apply to kosher or organic. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes. So if you go to buy kosher, look at the label. Every product that has a kosher symbol, it states the name of the certifier, address, and phone number, and sometimes even more websites or other information. So you can trace that kosher label. And even stricter than that is the organic industry. They have to state the certifier and their information and how to trace it. And that's the problem with the halal generic label. And this is an issue that needs to be resolved, and we want the consumer to be aware of. But also, we want to tell the consumers who are watching this video how to verify or inspect or make sure that this generic halal label is really halal. And this is something we will discuss a little bit further in this video. So going back to the trust issue, Susan, have you ever asked a store or manager or owner, how is this halal? How did it become halal?
I have inquired about who the certifier is, yes, at times. And I've also taken pictures sometimes when I've seen some labels that are saying that products are halal, but they're put next to other products that, might be contaminated. And I brought that notice to the company.
Excellent. And we hope more and more, halal consumers do the same. And I don't say Muslim consumer because not only Muslims buy halal, as many people don't know. Non-Muslims look for halal because the stigma of halal meaning healthy, wholesome, it's a good product, and we want to keep it this way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share a couple of photos that I took in my local halal, or local market actually. It's not even a halal market, but they sell halal meat or food, just to show you the problem or part of the problem. So I'm going to share a screen here. Let's see. Am I sharing anything? Not yet. Let's see. So let's look at this one first. Then we'll look at the second. So this one I took in my local market. It's not a halal market, but it's a market that caters to ethnic groups, and one of them is the Muslims group. Let me see if you can see the halal label right here. And if I zoom on on this, you don't see, oops, you don't see a name of a certifier. It just says the product type, a barcode, prices, blah, 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 but no certifier on it. And this is very, very common in the market today. Things are labeled halal without showing the certifier. And in some cases, it's not the fault of the store. It's because the USDA allows them to do this. When we discussed this with the USDA, they said, if it says halal, even if it doesn't state the certifier, they have to provide this information to the USDA. But you have to call the USDA to ask them to show you who certified it. And hardly anybody is going to do that, because people just want to buy their food and leave. People like us who are digging a little bit deeper and below the surface are finding this and finding that these labels don't give you enough information. They're not necessarily cheating, but they're not giving enough information. This particular store had a halal certification posted next to the fridge where this is sold, or the freezer. But it's such a generic certification. It doesn't say that this certification applies to this particular product. Do you see the problem?
Definitely. And I think too that, there are different certifiers with different stipulations, and you don't really know what you're getting. What's the quality of even that certifier, because there is no standardized practice.
Right. So, this is something that we come across very, very frequently, unfortunately. The other screen I want to share is also from a store that sells halal, which shows what we call contamination potential. And this one is right here. So here's a halal product labeled. Here's other products. Let me see. I don't know if you can see that on my screen. Yeah, here we go. So here's a halal product, meat, cut, labeled, packaged, nice and neat. If you look over here, you see a lard product right on top of it, on top of the freezer. This is a potential contamination between a halal product and a non-halal product, because this is lard. This package, broke or leaked, the first thing is going to come down is on this meat. And when you buy it, we don't know how much of it really touched the meat, but it nulls the halal value of this product. And at this point, it's not halal anymore. And we see this very frequently, not only in cases like this, but sometimes halal meat comes in large packages to a certain retailer. The retailer has either a kitchen or a slaughter space in the back, where there are halal and non-halal meat. They cut the same meat on the same cutting table or saw that they use non-halal products. So they bring a whole lamb or a whole half a cow, and they cut it into pieces and they package it. The same saw was used a few minutes before that, cutting other meats maybe it could be pork, or it could be beef, but it's not halal, and that's right there is a contamination issue. And the same thing can apply to kitchens at restaurants who sell halal, because some restaurants have partial halal menu, not a full halal menu, and it gets contaminated. The meat gets contaminated, and the food gets contaminated with non-halal products. And the consumer, we mentioned the trust factor. They just trust the place because they have a halal banner outside or name. They think automatically it is halal. And sometimes the contamination or the mislabeling is not intentional, but still nulls the halal value of that product. So these are just two examples of many examples we have. And what I'd like to encourage people to do is go to our website, which I'm going to share in the bottom here. We have a complaint form, and people can go to our website if they see any issues similar to these issues in their market, whether it's halal owned, Muslim owned, or non-Muslim owned, that may raise questions of intentional or unintentional mislabeling or contamination. We would like to help different communities around the US to investigate these cases. And in the past, calling stores or calling distributors, they have been open and helpful on these cases, because they don't want to have the reputation of selling something that is untrue or being investigated by the government, because this becomes a legal issue if somebody is mislabeling their halal product. Have you come across any similar things in your market, Susan?
I've heard, in some grocery stores in certain areas that the vendors will choose to buy halal products, but then because of the premium cost of some of those, they'll switch out. And that can happen without people knowing about it. So in a way, we hope to serve as a watchdog and to work with other organizations so that united, we make a network to avoid these things happening to the consumers. So even if there is no legislation per se at this point regarding halal legislation in most states, you at least have the benefit of having consumer protection based on the allegation of potential fraud. So we ask the community to keep their eyes and ears open and to, sincerely work to help to make it better for everybody. To your point, even about contamination, I remember that there was a story of a chilled warehouse where there were halal products on the bottom, but up above was a rack of pork products, and the refrigeration system conked out, and the pork products were leaking, dripping on top of the halal products, obviously making it unacceptable. But who's going to know? Who's going to watch? Who's going to report? This is why we need to work together.
Exactly. And I just posted on the comment section the link to our complaint page where people can go and file complaints. I'm going to share it also on my screen quickly. Let's see a tab. And this will show where people can come to our website and file a form with a complaint. One thing that I need to let people know, don't complain because you have an issue with the store owner that's not related to halal. Sometimes personal issues come in between. We want to focus on the issue of halal, not the pricing, nothing else. We want to make sure that your complaint is related to halal, and this way we can contact the store and we ask them to clarify where the product source was from and who certified it, so we can be sure that the consumer is protected and the consumer is getting what they're buying or paying for from that particular market. So use this form, take advantage. This service is free. We're happy to investigate and look into issues or complaints that come from anywhere around the US. Um, all right. So we mentioned the two labels, the generic and the one that shows more information about the certification, and that's what we want people to be aware of. So just to answer the question of who issues halal labels, again, the halal labels is issued by the USDA, US Department of Agriculture, after they receive all the proper documents that a particular product has gone through the halal certification process, complete halal certification. One of the challenges, Susan, we are facing today is the fact that there is no one halal standards in the US. We know there are different schools of thought. You mentioned Zabiha earlier, and there is the stunning and there is the machine slaughter. Some different schools believe in different things. We don't dictate or we don't tell people what they should believe in terms of their school of thought, but we want people to be aware and know that this particular halal product was processed certain way. And again, it's a thing that we're working with the USDA as well.
Can I interject? I was concerned because I know a lot of our consumers, they choose organic because they think that organic is better. And in some ways, perhaps it is. But I know that being on the inside of the industry, that these days a lot of chickens in general, including organic chickens, are gassed to death. They're not slaughtered the way that we think of slaughter. Most people don't know these things. And I've even made the mistake myself. But can you speak to that point, please? Have we lost Brother Marwan? There we go.
No, I just had to. I didn't realize my screen was dark, so I had to turn the lights on.
Okay.
So
Yes.
you're right. People
Yeah.
mix up between halal and organic and halal and kosher. Again, there are good products, kosher and organic, but they're not necessarily halal. The halal has to go through the halal process. The tasmiyah, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. The slaughter has to be proper, down to the second vein, as I was told by or artery by a Muslim veterinarian, and then it has to drain the blood, and then the contamination issues. You know, it's a science. It's not just a religious issue anymore. It's a science. And when I say that, I'd like to also bring an issue with the certification that we need to discuss with our imams, because many halal certification bodies out there are run by imams, and some have more knowledge than others. Therefore, we also need to educate our imams about halal. We need to bring in the experts. We need to show them what is not just what's proper halal, but what is the possibilities of contaminations and mislabeling that's taken place. And we need to bring in the veterinarians to also discuss these issues with the imams, so they're aware. And when they issue certifications, they are doing it the right way, because sometimes unintentionally mistakes happen in the halal market. That's why many countries now issue what we call halal accreditation to the halal certifiers, meaning you cannot be in the halal certification business if you have not gone through the proper training. And unfortunately, in the US today, I can tell you many, if not most, halal certifiers are not accredited, meaning they have not gone through the proper training to become halal certifiers. And we're not tarnishing anybody's image here, but we're telling those who are in that industry that we would like to work with them to help educate ourselves and educate them and become accredited certifiers. And there is another entity in the US, luckily today, that is working on creating halal standards, where most certifiers will hopefully adapt and make it a universal standards for halal certification, which means more protection for people who are watching us today, the halal consumers. When they go buy the halal product, they know for sure it's gone through all the due diligence to provide them this product. Does it make sense to you? This whole, I know it's maybe it's overwhelming sometimes.
I have hope because I know that nowadays, let's say chicken, eggs, all right? If you're looking for the eggs, you have your choice of vegetarian fed, organic, you have free range, you've got pasture raised. So it's possible that we can do the same with halal products. And we know in general, halal products tend to be healthier, particularly like with the meats, poultry, the blood is drained, the bacteria is let out. And that's why there are a lot of non-Muslim consumers who feel that this is a healthier option. We want to be able to grow that particular market. When I did go overseas to a major, like one of the largest food shows in Dubai a few years ago, we found that even the American companies didn't really have much interest in the American consumer. A lot of them are exporting halal products to overseas. And there are some companies even that are manufacturing items that are halal. They're just not labeling them here as halal. That is starting to change. But unless the Muslim consumer and non-Muslim consumers are asking for halal, it's not going to happen. You have to specifically go to your grocer. You have to write to companies. You need to inquire even, are you certified halal? And who is your certifier? You need to dig a little bit deeper. And in doing so, there's barakah, obviously, for making that effort. But inshallah, we're hoping that we can influence the market with our dollars, with our interests.
Absolutely. And speaking of visiting trade shows, I've been to trade shows, halal trade shows around the world. And one of the surprising discoveries I found that there was one French company that was selling halal wine. And the same company, of course, produces non-halal alcoholic wine in the same factory. And they're coming to a Muslim country promoting this product as halal, which is ridiculous, I think. And but they only can do this because there is no strict regulations and overseeing of this process. Another company that I met, they were selling in the same booth. They're promoting chocolate with alcohol and halal chocolate with no alcohol in the same booth. I'm like, this cannot happen and should not happen. This is undermining us as a community, undermining our values, and undermining what we stand for. And we cannot allow these companies to operate this way. You cannot have the same product produced in the same factory, half of it is halal and the other half is not. One of the companies that I was impressed with here in Virginia, actually, it's a wedding venue where my son got married. And when we went to book the venue, they told us we get a lot of Muslims who have their weddings at our venue, and we understand that they need halal, so we provide them with halal food. And I thought that was great, but they went the extra mile. They created 2 kitchens to avoid contaminations: a kitchen for all meals and a kitchen for halal meals. This way, there is no contamination or mixing or any issue that come about while they're providing Muslims. And this is like an ideal situation where a company, a non-Muslim company, I have to underline this is a non-Muslim company, that they saw the potential of providing Muslims with an excellent service, and they went the extra mile to provide them halal food and create 2 different kitchens in the same facility, which they really didn't have to. All they had to do is, after every meal, clean up the kitchen, disinfect it, and start making the halal for their customers. Isn't that great?
You're lucky you live in a place that there are enough Muslims that they will do that. And as do I, because I'm in the Chicago area. But there are a lot of people that are Muslim that are living in other parts of the country. They don't have that luxury. And so that's one of the reasons too. We need to be able to popularize this and make some more people be aware of our needs. I have had vendors, caterers, people ask me, where can I get halal products? We need to have a directory to help people source.
Absolutely. And this leads us to the questions. What should a Muslim consumer ask when they go to a store? And please post your comments because we will be reading them and going through them. If you have any questions or a comment about this topic. You mentioned earlier that many American halal producers, they sell their halal products overseas, and that's true. The same product, by the way, which is also halal, could be sold in your market, but not labeled halal because they don't want to be known to be the halal producers in the US. And the reason they do this partially is because they don't think there is big enough market share for them in the US, which lead us, how can we change this? How can we change the stigma that there is not enough market share for the American company producers, which is one of the top producers of halal in the world, to start labeling their products halal because they're already halal? Is by asking the store owner or manager. If it's a small store, you ask the owner, is this product halal? Or do you have halal products if you don't see any halal products? And if they have enough consumers asking this question, guess what? They will go bring halal. And if it's halal but not labeled, they will label it halal. Because a lot of the times, these managers take notes and they share it with their distributors and wholesalers, and it will pass through to the manufacturers. So our job as consumers, or your job who's watching today, is to ask as many questions as possible. Do you have halal products? If it's already labeled halal but doesn't give information about the certification, is to ask them, who certified this product? Because I can't just buy anything that just says halal. That's not enough information for me as a consumer. So don't be shy to ask the questions. It will only help by asking. It will not harm anybody when you ask the store, especially mainstream, do you have halal products?
Let me tell you, if you find some good quality halal products, tell all of your friends too. Those of you that are community influencers, small shops, especially these days, they're dying for business. And so they will do whatever they really need to do to bend over backwards to cater to you. So take advantage of that. If you find someone who's got really great products, broadcast that, let other people know about it.
True. And that's how the word gets around, and that's how people start finding more and more halal products in their communities. And just to mention other halal products, this is not just limited to food. When we talk about halal, yes, food is number one halal product or in demand right today, but there are halal cosmetics, there's halal tourism today, there is halal finance when you buy your house and you want to mortgage it with no interest. All of this falls into the halal lifestyle that we in the American Halal Council want to protect, preserve, and make it a mainstream where the average American can benefit from, because this is not made for us only. Since it's good, healthy, and a good quality product, we want our fellow Americans to benefit from using this halal product.
That reminds me, we need halal vitamins too.
Halal vitamins, of course, many families look for halal candies for their kids. I know my youngest always look for gummy bears that are made in Turkey because they're halal. So there is wide spectrum of products. If we sit and think about it, or the consumer does, that needs to be halal. Sometimes things that you don't think it should be labeled halal, but it should.
I'm glad you brought up gummies, because there are some companies that perhaps in the overseas markets, they are offering halal, but to the US market, they may not be. So always double check and call the company, contact them, make it easy, to find out, are the products that are sold in your town actually halal certified?
That's very true. And our job, again, in the American Halal Council is to protect the halal consumer, non-Muslims and non-Muslims, regardless. As long as they want halal, we want to make sure that this halal product has gone through the proper process.
And I know it's Ramadan, and we're talking about food here that makes it a little bit challenging to get through the day, as it's not iftar by us yet. But I know that one of the companies, Godiva Chocolates, they used to have stores in many locations, and that was one of my favorite stops at times. But since the pandemic came about, they've had to close down their shops. Their products can still be found, though, in many retail stores. But in their real estate, in their locations, there is another chocolate company from another country that has come in. Godiva was owned actually by a Turkish company. But now that company, I made an inquiry with them to find out, are your chocolates halal? And they said that they are halal-like. And I'm thinking, well, that
What does
doesn't
that mean?
quite make it. So beware, consumers, beware about, pulling the wool over your eyes. You may or may not really get the true thing if you're looking for halal products. But it always helps to let them know that you have an interest, because perhaps they will, if enough people are asking, start a halal line.
That's very true. And when I was in Malaysia at the Halal conference a couple of years ago, one of the major, I'm not going to mention names so I don't start promoting companies. One of the major chocolate producers had a massive setup at the conference, at the trade show, promoting their halal line, and it's the same line as that we buy here in the market. But for the Muslim market, they label it halal. For non-Muslim majority countries, they don't label it halal. And we want to convince them again that there is enough demand by the community out here, Muslims and non-Muslims who want halal, that they want to buy their product. There are two ways that they can find out. Of course, by asking the question, and or by contacting the company and ask them if their product in the US market is halal. Send an email. These companies, they care to know this information more than you think. And all they had to do is just put that information on the back of the label, on the fine print, that gives you peace of mind as a consumer. Wouldn't you love this when you go buy your ice cream to be halal?
Most definitely. Something else that comes to mind, Marwan, is there are a lot of students that are away from home. They go off to college, and they have difficulty in many places finding halal meal service. This is something that, if we have contact with MSAs, that it's not a difficult thing to have halal meals with the regular meal service. It's just that their staff needs to be educated. Their food service directors need to contact us. So if you have students who are at colleges, then please contact us, and then we can reach out to them and then hopefully help get future students, as well as your own students, halal meals accessible for them, especially in the month of Ramadan.
Right. And this applies to public schools, of course, and any educational facility that provides meals. And we've seen recently more and more public schools starting to offer halal meals for Muslim children, or at least where there are large enough concentration of Muslim children or students in their school. Which leads me, Susan, to the hospitals. Mm-hmm. I found that there are few hospitals around the country that provide halal meals to their patients. And that was great news. Last year, I keep track of any news that has to do with halal in the US media, and I get alerts on that. And I found that there is a hospital in the Midwest, I can't remember the name, at some states that you don't expect it to be aware of halal altogether.
Minnesota.
Maybe where
it took a princess. There was a princess that came for medical care with her whole entourage to a hospital in Minnesota. And because of her, that hospital inquired about having halal food service for her and the whole entourage. And since that time, there are many Muslims in their community. They realized they were able to offer that service.
There you go. And that's all it takes. They realize that there is enough business for them. So they incorporated that service for their clients.
But it shouldn't have to take a princess. It could be anybody.
No.
You can go and ask.
The case I'm talking about was just regular patients coming to the hospital, doing operations, and they just wanted to go the extra mile. So they hired a Muslim chef, actually, and they gave him, the ingredients and all they need to prepare halal meals. And I thought that was amazing. So I picked up the phone and I called the hospital and I thanked them for what they offered. And if they heard from enough Muslims a thank you note or an email or a call, trust me, these businesses will invest more in the halal. And the consumers who are watching us now will find halal food products everywhere they go. It's a matter of making those companies aware that we want this product, and they will go and provide it for you. Do not hesitate. So ask the question, be curious, be polite, of course, and we know most of us, do ask politely, and you will see over time things change. And if you need our help as an organization, reach out to us. Say that my store doesn't have enough halal products, and we will work with you to find ways to encourage that store to carry halal products. That's part of our agenda. And it looks like we have a couple of comments here. Halal King, Mr. Ghanem, yes. Alhamdulillah, there are hospitals in our area. Washington, D.C. area also serves halal for whoever requested halal meals. Excellent. That's what we need to see more and more of. Also prisons. He said, Brother Habib saying that prisons in Baltimore do offer halal meals. I know there was a case, Susan, last year where a prison would refuse to offer halal meals to Muslim inmates. And some Muslim organizations interfered and intervened and contacted the prison system to change that. I don't know the outcome of that particular case, but again, if we reach out and we ask the questions, why don't you have halal products for Muslims or non-Muslims who want halal? Eventually things will change. It might take some time, but persistence pays, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And again, this is the month of compassion. If you're not going to do something for you, think about the other people that, your little chip in that pot, that little voice that you can add to the conversation can be of benefit to somebody else.
Yes. And we as an organization, I want to remind everybody that we survive by support from the community, and donations will be incorporated into different programs, whether education, research, advocacy, halal verification, like we're talking about. What we're talking about today, the labeling, is all about halal verification, to make sure that if it says halal, it's truly halal. We want to create a system to automate this process and to make it faster and easier. But it takes funds. It takes, a lot of money to incorporate these programs. And for us to continue to do this year after year, we ask our community and whoever supports halal lifestyle to donate to us. The donation link is in the area comments today. We would like you to support what we do. We need to have staff eventually to monitor and to run these programs and committees that we have. And it will only can happen with the support of people like you watching us today. We have more comments. Let me see. Also, Mr. Habib, Brother Habib, I was involved with the commission of the Central Prison System in Maryland. Excellent. And that's, if some of us do this work, it will help everybody else. You are right, Muslims must demand halal meals. And that's what we're encouraging people to do, to ask the question. Do not hesitate, you know. So I'm going to also post our website up here in the running banner to visit it, where you can also find more information about all these programs, halal verification, halal research that we want to do, and articles that we post, regularly. Now that Susan is with us, she brings in that depth to education, and we want to thank you, Susan, again for doing this work.
Gladly. So you're going to find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Have I missed any of them?
That's all of them. Yes.
Okay, I found them all myself. So we have to let people know about that. And we've got some activities going on this month of Ramadan. Do you want to share that info now?
So this kind of webinar will continue every week. The next series will be a little bit more spiritual than market or research or advocacy work. We just wanted to give the opening today to introduce the organization and what we do and how we can help you who's watching us today as a Muslim halal consumer or non-Muslim halal consumer. Next week, we have Imam Muhammad Abdullahi from Maryland, who will be giving a talk about halal lifestyle. And the following week, Imam Didmar Faja from Phoenix, Arizona, will also talk about ethical halal as well. And on May 5th, we have the last webinar of Ramadan, also on halal. We're just waiting for confirmation on the speaker, but keep, tuning to see what are our latest activities and our latest halal initiatives, inshallah. Again, we ask you to support and donate to us. The donations are tax deductible, zakat eligible. So do not, hesitate to support if you care for halal lifestyle. And when you go to your local market, to make sure to be assured what you're buying is truly halal in the market. So, any closing remarks, Susan?
I have to go make my iftar.
You need to go cook. Okay, I need
We
to
got the whole family coming.
I need to go also help my wife make iftar.
Good man.
Let me just check to see if there's any more comments before we leave. No comments or questions, but I want to really thank those who participated or came to watch us today. This video will continue to be posted on YouTube and Facebook for those who missed it live. Do not hesitate to reach out to us and support what we do. We appreciate all the support we can get. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much, our participants. Jazakumullah khair. Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem again. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.